Did you guys see this? And I'm like, where did this come from?
The inspector didn't even
The
see it.
inspector had no idea either. Welcome to the Whiskey and Real Estate Podcast with Alex Peterson. I'm your host, Alex, and tonight I've got John and Jess with me. First-time home buyers from, man, when was it? 2 years ago now? 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago now. Yeah.
Man, time flies. They're going to be joining me. Jess is not a huge whiskey fan and has opted for wine tonight, so she's going to be enjoying that. And John and I are going to let you know what we think of the surprise whiskeys. I mean, they're a surprise for him. So thanks for being on. I appreciate you guys being here, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having us.
I forgot about all the chaos in this one. It's a lot of flavors.
Well, I'm new to the whiskey game. You introduced me to whiskey, so I'm just kind of following your lead.
I'm getting lots of fruit, like a blackberry.
I'm getting fruit on the aftertaste.
Interesting. You don't smell any fruit?
No, not really. Adam.
What else do you smell? Just oak?
Yeah, my nostrils are. I'm at rookie scale here.
Hey, we'll get them there, man. That's perfect. Initial reaction, 1 to 10. Where are you at right now?
I'm at about a 7.2.
7.2.
Yeah.
Very specific. Jess, how's the wine?
Very good. I love it.
Perfect. Can't go wrong with a good rosé, right?
More my speed.
Love it. All right, so you guys bought your house 2 years ago. What prompted you guys to buy a house?
It was kind of just like our next natural step. We were dating for 3 years at that point, and we knew that we wanted to move in together, and yeah, it just was kind of natural. We knew we wanted to buy something because, we want to be together forever, and so we wanted to buy something so that way, whether it was going to be our forever home that we bought or a fixer-upper, we wanted it to be something that would be good for our future.
Yeah, it was pretty much like, if not then when, right? It was just to that point. We both come from like traditional families where like the marriage comes first, and then you buy the house, and then you have kids.
First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a baby and a baby carriage.
Yeah, it's something like that.
That whole thing.
Right. So, yeah, that's, it's so we both came from that type of family.
Yeah.
But we kind of went the opposite way.
Yeah.
So like we're like, well, we know we're going to get married. We know that day's coming. We know kids are coming. We don't know if a house is coming though.
Yeah.
Especially in like the market that it was now, or then, and then especially now.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's just focus on getting a house first.
What was the first thing when you guys decided to buy a house? What was kind of like the first gut reaction? Like, did you just say like, hey, we know what we're doing. We're going to call this person. Was it, I don't know where to start? Kind of tell me about that.
Yeah, so I contacted Eric. Eric and I are friends. We work together.
That's right. If you want to know more about Eric, definitely check out the first episode to the podcast because Eric and Molly are awesome.
Yes, they are. Shout out to Eric and Molly. Contacted Eric. I talked to Eric about it. He talked to me about the home buying process, and he mentioned you right away. We didn't know where else to start after that. I don't know any realtors, so we're like, yeah, let's just give Alex a shot here and see what happens.
Jess, what do you remember about like that first conversation when the three of us sat down?
I was like, okay, this is happening. This is scary. This is exciting. I don't really know what I'm doing, but, we trust you. So, yeah, it was a lot of emotions and things going on in my head at one time.
You guys, when you started, did you have a very clean list of what you wanted, what you didn't want? Were you broad? How did you kind of narrow down location? Talk to me about that kind of process, about the basics of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like we started with a really big list of things that we wanted. We wanted an updated kitchen. We wanted open concept. We wanted all the things. And then we realized as first-time home buyers how hard it is to get all of those things. So as time went on, that list got shorter and shorter and shorter. And eventually it kind of came down to, okay, can we make the space that we can get work for us for either the time being, or can we make this our dream home? So that's kind of what we ended up with.
We kind of knew the area where we wanted to be in. That was very clear. Mm-hmm. We love the area that we're in right now. We always spend time there, especially when we first started dating. A lot of core memories started where we are right now. For me, it was basically like, okay, if it's got good plumbing and it's got a roof, I'm in. Jess was a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, it was more just like, okay, like as long as the essentials are there, then I'm good. But Jess had a little bit of a longer list than I did.
What was at the top of your list? What was like the most important thing when you started the search? What was like number one?
I really wanted open concepts, living room kitchen, and we did not get that. And that's okay, because we have the potential to make that happen one day.
That's true. You could make that happen. What a good bar, like counter, like
Yes.
island
That's
there.
what we're thinking.
Man, that could be fun.
That's after the wedding.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
We're really thinking on that.
Wedding first. That's those are expensive in today's world. All right, so we had our priorities. You guys knew what you wanted. Did you have any deal breakers where it was like, if the house has X, I don't care what else is right, I am absolutely not buying that house?
So like what Jess was saying, like, you know, the open concept kitchen, we didn't want to feel boxed in.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to feel boxed in. We didn't want to feel like there was no room to grow. Even if there were some things that were not on our list, like, okay, like we were thinking we can make this work still over time. There's a plan there.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of times where like we kind of walked into a place and we're like, this is it. You know,
Yeah.
like, there's no way out of this.
Yeah, and I think location was a big one too. We got to a point where we were like, okay, if we're going to buy a house, we're going to spend all this money, do all the stressful things that come with it. We want to really love where we live. And so we decided that, you know, we wanted to end up in St. Charles or Geneva. And yeah, we just really were adamant about that. Even if we saw a beautiful house somewhere else in another town, we were like, you know what, St. Charles or Geneva, that's it. So.
Yeah, I remember there was a house in Bartlett that we were really close on. And we were like in the negotiating phase, and you know, you were giving us the comps, and we were like, yeah, no, it's a really nice house. We haven't had a lot of luck in St. Charles. And then like 30 minutes later, you gave us a call back and you were like, I can tell right away, you guys are not into this house. Like your heart is not into it. Why bother?
Yeah.
And so I think the area was the biggest. We know what area we want to be in. The house can be negotiable.
We spent a lot of time at that house. You guys pondered and pondered, and it was like gut wrenching for me to sit back and be like, I've got to let them make their decision. They've got to figure this out. And then like, obviously I couldn't take it. I was like, guys, you're gonna not like this house. Like you're not gonna like the location, because some of the things that were really important to you were like proximity to just be able to go to a downtown area and like hang out and have fun. And that location, even though Bartlett has a downtown area, it's not quite like St. Charles and Geneva. And that house wasn't close to downtown either. Like it was off a main road, and I was like, I mean, the yard's kind of cool. Like that was nice. I mean, we had definitely been missing out on other things. The market was still very competitive. So you guys aren't the first people to start like being like, oh, maybe we just buy something and, you know, deal with it. And I definitely was not like eager to make that phone call. Because I didn't want to like make you guys feel like I was pushing you to do something. But I felt like I had to say something about it.
And we definitely appreciated that, because like there were a lot of times where like we would send you a house and you would be like, no, like I know what you guys want. This isn't going to be it. Move on.
Yeah.
And we, you know, that's something that I think every home buyer should appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about, you know, I think, you know, the first couple of times I would just show you guys whatever. I was like, okay, let's go see whatever. And then it gets to a point where I'm like, I don't want you to waste your time. Like, you're going to get out here, you're going to be annoyed that you like drove out to this house. And it's like, because I look at so many homes that just, camera angles, they are deceptive. And I can see things in camera shots that I look at too many houses, guys. It's too many. What was the hardest part about buying a house, start to finish? What was maybe the most challenging thing that you guys dealt with through the process?
I would say I feel like we got caught in this really frustrating cycle of like, okay, we finally found a house, it's within our budget, it's, you know, checking most of our boxes, then we get attached to the house, and then because the market was so competitive, we were ending up in bidding wars and 10, 20, 30 offers being put in on houses, and then we'd have to sit and wait all weekend. And then unfortunately there was quite a few times where we didn't get the house, and you have to, you know, kind of grieve it and deal with the heartbreak that comes with that. So dealing with that cycle and, you know, still trying to stay motivated through it, that was probably the hardest part for me.
Yeah, it was almost like strategic by other realtors, where like they would throw out the house on like Redfin and on Thursday, Friday, Saturday showings, or like a Friday open house, or no, Friday showings, Saturday open house, Sunday final day for showings, and then Monday we're taking all the offers and that's it.
I mean, you guys just laid out my game plan. That's how I did all my listings.
Exactly.
I mean, I listed on the Thursday, showings all day Friday, open house on Saturday, maybe another one on Sunday. By end of day Sunday, all the offers are typically due, or like, you know, middle of the day Monday, depending on how things are going. And then you make a decision either Monday night or Tuesday. So anybody who saw it on Friday is like, just make a choice. I just want to know.
That was us. Like we would put in offers and then we would just sit there on a Monday, be like, all right, just waiting for the phone call from Alex. Here we are. Let's go.
Definitely something that a lot of people had to experience during 21, 22, 23, 24. For the most part, it hasn't gone away. There are a few houses that definitely don't have that experience. So when you got the house, though, that we actually won for you guys, talk us through that from like, we found that it hit the MLS, then what?
Yeah, so we were waiting for a good month. There was a month's stretch there where we didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Because we just felt so dejected. There was nothing on the market. And we kind of knew like our time was running out. Jess was starting school. And so time was like ticking. And it just so happened like we got a notification on our phones on Sunday nights. So kind of like the opposite happened. Sunday night, we got a notification. It was this house. Text you right away. You even called us back and were like, hey, like I was gonna text you this like immediately. Like I can get you in right away. So you got us in on a Monday night. Monday night came, we saw the house, we loved it. And I just like right away, we walked down the driveway. We were in the middle of the street and you just looked at us and you were like, I can get you this house. And like that just like put like such a calm over me at least.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, okay, if this is the first time I'm hearing Alex say this, like I can get you this house, no worries. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna get this house actually. Like this is it. And then we're just sitting in her bedroom Monday night. It's going into like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night.
Late.
It's getting late. And you keep texting us like, hey, like I'm still talking to the realtor, we can get this done. And so we're sweaty, we're so nervous. We're like, I can't believe this might be actually happening.
He was calling his uncle. I was talking to my parents. It was like a whole production.
Yeah, like we had like this whole team. For some weird reason, which I think made it worse because the anxiety just kept going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And then you just called us and we're like, yeah, you got it. Like you got it at your price. We were the first offer, the only offer accepted. And then like all we heard were like the other realtor who was listing the house was telling us like there's so many people that are trying to offer contracts on this house.
They got 6 more offers the next morning. 6 more offers the next morning.
Right, because we knew if it wasn't this house, it was pretty much time for us. Like
Yeah.
it was going to be a long wait.
That was such a fun one. When I got that agent on the phone, I was like, I got this. I can win this. And yeah, I mean, I was so grateful you trusted me. We went in right where I knew we needed to go to, get the seller motivated to just don't bother with the nonsense. I can get you guys what you want and get my people what they want and make sure your lives are simple. And it was glorious.
Yeah, Alex is a confident guy. You're probably the most confident guy that I know, honestly. And so, but it was almost like a cocky confidence that you gave off.
Yeah.
Which isn't surprising. But
I really do teeter on that fine line between confident and cocky on a regular basis.
You were almost being too cocky about this house, and I'm like, oh wait, this is different. Like he knows something that I don't, and I'm like, this is it. This is gonna be the house.
I think that's a good point to let's find out. You got some more in there. Where you at?
Definitely starting to get the fruity taste now. That I felt I tasted fruit right away, not just the aftertaste. Still smooth though. Yeah. I did taste the fruitiness this time. Yeah. And I still have that oak taste.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you get any caramel, vanilla?
No.
I definitely got a little bit of caramel. The sweetness in there, the blackberry, raspberry, kind of just like a berry tone that came through, which makes sense based on this bottle. But I'm going to read the professional notes and see if any of this rings bells. So on the nose, they said tropical fruit nose with notes of apricot, blackberry, and plum. Hey, blackberry, I got one. Followed with a faint hint of tobacco and spices. Don't think I could tell you what tobacco smelled like, so I wouldn't have found that one. Taste. They used velvety instead of smooth. Honey sweetness, highlighted by spicy oak, vanilla, balanced with dryness from Indian red wine. That's a little teaser into what this bottle is. Let me go grab it. All right, so we are drinking Rampur Asava. This is an Indian whiskey. So there you go, Indian, and it's finished in cab barrels.
Oh, okay, nice.
So that's where you get the extra fruitiness from. They actually also finish in American bourbon barrels, which is really cool. So matured in age there, and then finished with that cab.
I'm gonna take a picture before I leave here, because that might be my next whiskey bottle.
Still 7.2?
Yeah, still 7.2.
Nice.
Solid.
7.2 is a bottle-worthy
Yes.
level for you.
For sure.
I won this at Whiskey Club. So, yes, we had this on our non-traditional Whiskeys of the World night, which I don't think you were here for.
I can explain.
All right, let me grab glass 2.
Yeah.
And we're back. So we've got glass number 2 here. We're ready to go. Cheers to round 2.
Cheers. Thank you for having us.
Jess, how are you not on glass number 2 yet? What are you doing?
It's the school night.
This one's definitely stronger. Yeah.
Stronger, so you think this one has a higher proof?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Our last bottle was 45% alcohol, so that'd be a 90 proof bottle. So I wouldn't be shocked if this was 110.
I kind of taste like coffee. I smell like a coffee.
Coffee. Interesting. I'm not sure I would have thought of coffee.
Yeah.
But I can get where you're coming from on that.
Right.
That like subtle fruitiness you get from coffee.
Yeah.
Like the florally, like a blonde roast almost.
I'm not gonna say oak again.
You're not gonna say oak again? But it smells like oak. I get it. Wood, a hint of alcohol.
Yeah.
All right. Were there any surprises during your inspection? Anything that caught you off guard?
Honestly, the inspection, no. I actually was, I guess, surprised by how well it went. I mean,
Yeah, you were. So I did not go to the inspection.
Oh, that's right. You weren't there.
I was not there. Yeah. So during this whole process, we had a 10-day trip to Greece, which added on to the anxiety, to the stress.
It's really complicated things for me, didn't you?
So we're 12 hours ahead. Alex is 12 hours behind. We're negotiating stuff to keep in the house
Yes.
at that time, because the guy was just like, yeah, I have no use for any of this. So
Right.
just take it all. We're negotiating that. We're negotiating the inspection, when the inspection's going to be. I took up all my PTO days, and I'm like, all right, well, Jess, you're riding solo on this one.
Yeah.
And so I think what surprised me the most, probably seeing the pictures and then automatically thinking the worst. And then you call me right away and be like, dude, this is the best inspection that I've seen all summer. Like, you're good. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Every house has something wrong with it, and it's a bit overwhelming when you get that inspection report, though. I mean, they can range from like 40 to 100 pages of information where you're just like, there's so much stuff to do. How am I gonna do all this stuff? And it can be a lot, absolutely.
there was definitely like a lot on that sheet that they sent us, but then like as we were going through it, it was like little things to like not worry about. Like I think one of the things was like we had to like tighten the little bolts on the bottom of the toilet, like just
Yes.
like little things we could have done ourselves, and it ended up on the report just because they have to put it there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then once we, talked with our loved ones, talked with you about it, I mean, there really was nothing wrong with the house, but on paper it looked like it, especially as a first-time home buyer. But it was
Yeah.
surprising how well it went, I guess. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have any memorable, good or bad moments from your house hunting journey that you think people would enjoy hearing about?
So going back to what I said about, as long as it had a roof and good plumbing, I was in. So Alex is the best realtor or a wife, fiance, girlfriend if they're marrying or with someone like me. So here.
I know where you're going with this.
Like, we really need to let him finish this sentence at this spot.
So I am someone who can see the best in everything. So I walk into a house and I'm like, okay, I can fix this. I can work this. I can work around this. And I can't. That's where Alex came in and put me in my place and just humbled me. So there was a house and it was at the top of our budget, but it was on the market for like 48 days.
Which at that time was ridiculous.
Unheard of.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, so we're going at the top of our budget on every house. Let's play a little reverse psychology. Let's already look at something that's at the top of our budget and let's try to negotiate back.
Yeah.
And so we walk in and I'm like kind of digging it. It's in Geneva. It's a, nice house. Checks off all of our boxes. Maybe it's a little bit older.
It didn't check my box.
No,
I don't know what you're
not
talking
Jess.
about.
So all right, right. That's my thought process. I can paint. I can put in new tile. I'm like, all right, I can do this. We're good. We go downstairs and there is just a whiff of piss. That just hits us right in the face. And at this point, I'm still saying, look, I'm good. We're good. It's just piss. So we're good. We can make it work still. Basement is just a disaster. We go to the other side of the basement. And I'm talking myself into it. I know what kind of offer I want to put out there. We turn around, and then right there, we see a crack in the foundation going straight into the basement. And I was still at the point where like, okay, we can negotiate this down. And I think that's what Alex officially told me. All right, John, shut up. We're not doing this. And then from that point on, he just started asking Jess, like, all right, what do you think of this house? Clearly, we're not going to ask John anymore.
I was honestly relieved to see the crack in the foundation because I'm like, okay, he can't be sold on this. There's no way it's going to happen. But the whole time we're walking through that house, I'm like, I'm going to have to talk him out of this. This is going to be a whole thing. He's trying to see the bright side. And he did up until he saw the crack in the foundation.
He really did. I remember like walking and I'm just like, I see like Jess and she's like, no, just, no, like, no. And like over and over, I'm just seeing her face and just like the way she's responding to you're like, we could do this, like this would be awesome. We could, like, I mean, this is such a huge master bedroom. Like this is amazing. And like a bathroom here. And I'm just like, dude, you aren't paying attention at all to Jess right now. And yeah, then we get down there and you're still like, we could no, John, like, dude, like, call it quits, man.
There were clearly animals living in this basement, and
yes.
like, he wasn't bothered by it.
There was a lot of times at the curb of the house where I was like, hey, Alex, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's try to put something together tonight. And then Alex would just look at Jess, and Alex was like, no, you guys are not getting this house. Just not happening.
I definitely was pushing back and be like, you gotta talk to Jess. Like, when Jess is on board, I'll write the offer. If Jess isn't agreeing, she's not gonna sign the paperwork. Like,
yeah.
Wow, I had forgotten about that house. Took me a minute too, as you're like retelling the story. My brain's like, what else is he talking about? And then I was like, oh, that house. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was, so glad you didn't buy that house.
There was a lot of houses like that. There was another one, huge greenhouse. And it was like, actually like kind of, it was underneath our budget.
Okay.
It was our first house that we saw. And it was a bunch of like do-it-yourself projects. Like they didn't hire any professionals.
Those always hurt me when I see those things.
Right. And so all they did was like they remodeled everything, but they did it themselves.
Yeah.
And it killed the value of the house. That was our first house. Of course, I loved it. And then it was just, the kitchen was a nightmare. It was disgusting. The backyard was atrocious. Yeah. And then when we bought our house, 2 months into buying our house, we drove past that house, completely demolished.
Seriously?
It was completely demolished, and it just went up on the market for $1.3 million.
You had an opportunity, Jess. You could have had a $1.3 million home.
You were gonna fix that house?
He was gonna build it all by himself, Jess. Brick by brick.
I mean, that house, it looked like it was gonna be like a house that we could live in comfortably while still fixing it up as time went on. But like, I just remember as soon as we walked into the house, it was like kind of unlivable. Like there was like walls missing and there was some flooring that wasn't done. The bathroom definitely had mold in it that was being covered up by like these fake tiles, and
oh yes,
there was a lot going on there that like we definitely don't have the skill set to have fixed that. So
it had a roof.
It had a roof and it had plumbing. So John was happy because he's perfectly happy using lanterns in a fireplace. So didn't need electrical. He said over and over, roof and plumbing. He didn't care about foundations or electrical, just roof and plumbing. I want to go to the bathroom indoors, Alex. That's all I want. Great story. Oh my gosh. What's one piece of advice you guys wish you had gotten on the front end of your home buying journey that you'd want to make sure somebody else got?
I almost wish that someone out there would have like given us a list of like all the things that go into owning a home, like all like the little things that like no one tells you, like how often to change like the air filters and how often or how to change a fire alarm battery, like those little things like that like you don't figure it out till like you're in the house. That would save us a lot of time after we're in the house and a lot of stress and worry because the first few months that you're in the house, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in here by myself and I'm responsible for this whole thing and I don't know how to do anything. So I guess if there would have been like a manual on like homeowning 101, that would have been nice.
For me, if you're a realtor, Alex, use your people. Like if you're the buyer and you know you're looking for a first time home, use Alex's people, because there's a lot of times where like we had a loan guy. Well, he couldn't close fast enough. And so that put extra stress onto us. And it put extra stress onto you because you had to talk to somebody that you weren't familiar with, that you haven't had a working relationship with. So I think if you're going to be talking to a realtor, especially you, and you have a guy, work with Alex's people.
My people are pretty good.
Yeah, you surround yourself with pretty good people.
I try to. That's why we're friends.
That's right.
All right. You get through the whole process. You get to the closing table. You're signing all these documents. You're exhausted. You're done. You're just like, all right, is it my house yet? And then your realtor who sat there with you, even though he didn't need to be there, hands you those keys. What were you feeling?
I feel like it's like the perfect mix of excited and scared because you're so excited. You have your keys. You're about to go drive to your house for the first time. But then it starts to sink in that like, oh my gosh, I own this piece of property. This thing is mine now. We just signed our lives away on all these millions of documents that we didn't really look through that well. We just trusted the people around us. And so, yeah, it's like that perfect mix of excited and scared and all sorts of things going on in your head. So.
Yeah, at that table, you have no idea what you're signing.
Yeah.
You're not reading that. You're just signing it away. But that moment, that was everything for us. Because it was such a long process.
It was.
From April to August, that entire summer of just picking up and going to see a house. And we went 0 for 8. Like, we went 0 for 8. And that's not because our offers weren't good. It's just how competitive everything was. But everything happens for a reason. Like, we got the perfect house for us at the perfect time. At the perfect price too.
Yeah.
Like it all aligns, like all the stars align. We worked really hard, all three of us. We worked really hard to get that house.
Yeah.
It just like it's honestly one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life.
Well, you're still getting married soon, so you're
That's
going to
gonna be
lose
number
that
one.
soon, man. You're going to lose that. So
That's gonna be number one. I think the house, number 2 or 3.
I love that. What was the first thing you guys did when you got back to the house once it was yours?
We chugged the wine that you brought over.
Nice. Chugged it.
I remember we just kept walking around. We were just like walking in the rooms and opening all the doors and just like looking at everything.
Passing the bottle back and forth? Like, did you even get glasses or just...
No, I think we just went straight for the bottle. And then her parents came over, brought over champagne.
Nice.
So it was more drinking, which was a lot of fun.
Didn't the previous owner leave you a mess of liquor in the secret room downstairs too?
Yes. So it was 2 gallons of Jack Daniels.
Handles.
Oh, yes. Okay, there you go. Handles. And then, what was the vodka? There was like
He left
5
us-
bottles of vodka.
He left just like regular like vodka, but then he left us this huge bottle of Everclear.
So how much of that alcohol still exists?
I think the Jack Daniels is gone. I haven't touched the vodka.
I feel like we put it out for like a party or something one day.
Yeah.
The Everclear we have not touched. I'm scared. I don't even know
Jello
if you're
shots.
I don't
Jello
even know if you're
shots.
supposed to drink that. Like I wouldn't know what to do with it. Yeah, all his other stuff is still there too. Like he left all those water bottles and his panic room stuff that he left us with the alcohol. So that's all still there.
That's still one of the craziest finds ever. Like, the fact that, one, I had no clue it existed. I mean, like, I really pride myself on being able to be spatially aware when I'm going through houses and find everything. And to come in at the walkthrough with this guy, and he's like, did you guys see this? And I'm like, where did this come from?
The inspector didn't even
The
see it.
inspector had no idea either. I'm like, yes. That was wild. That was well built. And, yeah, that'll be a fun one forever, that you guys have a secret room in your house.
Yes. That's like the perfect room to store gifts, hide away from the kids.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be like the perfect secret place.
I love that. That's amazing. If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Don't sweat the losses. I know that sounds like very cliche.
Great advice, though. I mean, it's something people need to hear.
Like there were houses that we lost out on that we thought the world was ending.
Yeah.
Like we're like, okay, well, that's not gonna happen. Like that's all right. It just wasn't meant to be. And there were so many times where we would wake up so dejected and so like just upset, and it's just like it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing because it's kind of crazy, just like how the stars really do align for you. And if you're putting out the best offers and you have a realtor like you that's gonna always have the client's interest in mind, things are just gonna work out for you.
Yeah.
I wish I would have enjoyed the process a little bit more. I feel like I was so caught up in like being stressed about putting these big offers in and making sure that we were getting places that checked all our boxes, that like I really didn't enjoy the process. Like looking back, it was fun to go see these houses every weekend. It was fun to have that to do. And I think I was so stressed during it and like worried about finding something that I wasn't enjoying actually finding it.
Yeah, definitely enjoy it. There's like so many things. And what's cool is we took houses that we lost out on, and like we took one thing from that house and are putting it into our house now. It's like we looked at those houses and we at first looked at it as losses, but now we just looked at it as like, okay, those were cool ideas that now we can put into the house that we have now.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. To think of those losses and be like, what can I take from that though and create into my perfect little home now? So awesome. All right, man. What are you thinking?
I like the first one better.
That's fair.
This one here, I'm gonna go with like a 6.7.
A very small margin. You do find the good in everything. What did you like about this one?
I wouldn't buy a bottle of it, but if someone had it out in a party, I can have a glass of this. And this is something that's not like it doesn't like hit me in the face and it's like, oh man, this is gross, this is too much, but it's still smooth.
It's still smooth. We gave you a new word, man. We gave
velvety.
you velvety. We gave it to you. Well, let me get the bottle and show you what you drank. We have a bottle from Far North Spirits out of Minnesota. This is a rye whiskey they call Rocknar, and it's finished in Sauterines casks.
Wow.
So very unique, and this one's only 94 proof, so it is almost the same as the first bottle, but it definitely gives off, and it's probably because it's a rye, that it's giving off that extra spice and bite to it that you can easily mistake for higher proofing.
Okay.
Fun bottle out of Minnesota, so if you want to try something unique. Personally, this bottle always tastes a lot better after you've had some red wine. Because of the finish, your mouth is already open to like the red wine tannins and like the botanicals that come with the wine. You drink this and you're like, ooh, this is lovely. And thankfully, since I was at a winery earlier today, it worked out perfectly. I was like, man, this is better, but I'd probably give it, 7, maybe a 7.5 after I've had a glass of wine. If I haven't had a glass of wine, it's probably a 6. It's definitely strong, not something that I'm super keen on unless my palate's already been opened up to it. And definitely not what I would expect drinking whiskey.
Yeah, now that you said that, it kind of does hit me that it gives off a wine.
Yeah.
That wine taste, for sure.
Yeah.
Far North Spirits, I like it. Yeah, the first one, I would actually buy a bottle. That's probably gonna be my next bottle.
You got pricey taste, my friend. Well, thank you both so much for being on tonight. I really appreciate your time. Had a lot of fun drinking whiskey and talking real estate.